looking back, I wouldn't change anything because it's got me where I am, and we're growing like crazy. I'm going to sell this company for like 500, 600, 700, 800 million dollars. Like, we are on our way, and it's wild. I started on welfare as a single mom.
This story is one that I was really excited to hear you tell, and it's not because I know you, it's because it is genuinely an amazing story. So thank you for being on Like a Champion.
Thank you for
the
having me.
First female entrepreneur on Like a Champion, and well-deserved, I might add. But it's just fun because I've known you a long time.
I know. I was telling my kids that I was coming on here, and they know who you are and your family and the kids. And Taylor was like, how long have you guys known each other? And I was like, I mean, kind of since high school, even though we weren't, like, we had mutual friends in high school. We're the same age. We grew up here. Our parents were friends. And my dad was like, oh yeah, I mean, we've been friends since they were like in their 30s and 40s. Yeah. So I didn't even put that together, like how much history our families even have, which is really cool.
And I was thinking about it on the way here, I'm like, look at us, we're all grown up now.
I know. I'm going to be 47 next month, and I'm just like, I've never been in a better place in my life, but I'm also like, wow, this is crazy. Like, when people say it goes by fast, it really does. There's moments where I feel like it's like a sloth pace, especially in my business. I thought for sure by now that I would be on my yoga joint yacht, flying my yoga joint private jet. So, but the pitfalls have been there. COVID was a huge devastation for not just my business, but for businesses like mine, for all businesses, but for boutique fitness that was a huge, but we were able to continue to just put one foot in front of the other and pivot a little bit and get to where we needed to be and stabilize. It took us, we are just stabilizing within the last year and a half from COVID. People don't believe us because they come in and they see the success on the outside, but they don't realize how much that set us back. And we had amazing people that continued to keep their memberships going during COVID, which was huge for us. So anyways, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, so I was on your website and I saw, maybe this was 2-3 weeks ago, but you have 11 existing locations?
12.
So 12 with another 7 or 8 to open in the next year and a half or so?
We're opening one every 6 weeks right now. And so by right now we will have 30 by like mid 2026. We have the funding and the people ready to go. And we just opened up our first franchise a year ago. So that's been amazing. Our first franchisee, I could not, because I understand, I recognize everybody wants to tell me their horror stories. Everybody about franchising. And we are going to be doing a mix. So we're going to continue to open our stores. We call them our corporate stores. So we're continuing to open our corporate stores as well as franchises. We are moving slowly with the franchises just because of the horror stories. One of my business partners is a franchise guy, so he knows a lot about it. Well, actually, now I just pulled on a new partner, and he also is a big franchise guy. So we have a lot of people sitting at the table that know a lot about franchises, because I know a lot about boutique fitness. I do not know a lot about franchises.
Yeah, so I want to dig into the franchise stuff a little bit later for sure, because that's definitely one of the key themes we try to touch on with the show. And I'm the child of 2 men that were well, 1 man, but 2 partners in my family that were successful car dealers for many years, and franchise was something that served them very well, but also had its challenges too. But I want to go and just rewind back, like, how did this all start? Like, where did it start with you with yoga and then the yoga joint?
Okay. So I started doing yoga around 16. Like I said, I'm going to be 47 next month, so you do the math. And at the time, I was growing up here in South Florida. My parents were going through a terrible divorce, and it just so happened that a person that we were dealing with court stuff said, you and your brother should try yoga. It's really good for stress relief. And I was a runner. I was an athlete at Cardinal Gibbons, and I ran track and cheerleading. So I thought, okay, that sounds cool. And it was hot yoga, so I loved that because I wanted to sweat. And I went and I thought it was absolutely insane, ridiculous. I was like, this is a cult. This is very strange. I grew up really Catholic, and I thought this is just wild. There was literally back then in the 90s, there was men in Speedos, girls in like string bikinis. I was like, I'm not sure about this. And I'm not prude at all. I'm very out there. And even for me, and my brother Brant, my middle brother, kept going. And he was like, you got to just keep going. You'll really like it. You'll really like it. So I went a couple times at 16. Around 18, I started going religiously. And it was around then that I knew that I would be in some capacity in this field for a lifetime. So I didn't go to college. I didn't do well in high school. I struggled academically. I loved the social aspect of school and the sports and everything, but I was struggling. Looking back, I'm for sure had some sort of undiagnosed learning disability, especially having kids. And
I think a lot of us did.
Exactly. But they just never, and funny enough, living here, I see our teachers still, and I'll be like, yeah, thanks for your help. Like, I could have used you. And I just decided I'm just not going to go to school, and I'm going to start working in a yoga studio because I want to open up yoga studios, like fitness boutiques, and bring wellness to people's lives because it meant so much to me and it helped my life so much. So fast forward, I was in the business for over a decade, and one day I was like, okay, it's time. I need to open up my own studio. I was in my late 20s and I had 2 kids, and I thought I just need to do something bigger for them. At the time, I had a gentleman who knew I was kicking around the idea, and he came to me and he said, listen, I have money. Let's do this. You could go get a loan, but you have nothing. You have no collateral. No one knows who you are. I mean, I had a small little niche group of people that liked my classes. So this was, a long time ago. And he said, I have money, you have a following, let's do this. So I said, okay, great. So I went to the guy that I worked with at the time and said, listen, I have so many ideas. I want to add other classes. I have this vision. I can do it with you, and we can go, and I will work so hard for you. And I was already working so hard for him for 10 years. I said, let's do this. And he said, no, you'll never, ever, ever be successful at this. It's so hard to do this. You'll never get where you want to go. And I said, I just don't believe you. I'm going to have 100 studios. I'm going to have an exit plan. I'm going to sell. I'm going to do this. And he's like, you're never going to do it. And I was like, the good thing about me is when you tell me no, I will find a way. I was that child. I've always been that person. I don't like to be told no. If you tell me no, I will find a way. It doesn't matter if it's a hotel room that I want or a car deal that I want. When my friends need something, they call and they're like, hey, can you call and get this done? I'm like, absolutely. I'll take care of it. I don't care if you tell me no. I just will find a way to get what I want. I like to get what I want. So he said, let's do this. I said, great. I just needed somebody to give me that opportunity. And I just said, I'll figure out the details. I didn't know much, but I'll figure it out.
Just feel like it in your heart.
Exactly.
That's going to work. And then.
Exactly. All the business stuff I didn't understand at all, but I was like, I'll just start reading. I'll just start listening to podcasts. And that's exactly what I did. And back then, it wasn't as now we can listen to you can go on YouTube and learn anything. You can listen to
it's all free and out there.
Everything. But back then it wasn't. This was in 2010 is when I opened up my first location. So I literally would go to the library in Fort Lauderdale, the one near the north location, 62nd and Federal.
Right, I
would go there, find business books, sit. My kids were babies. I would read books on business. I was anybody that would give me any attention about business. But people pretty much laughed in my face. I asked all my friends, I won't say their names, but all these people, all of our friends that are in their 60s now, I went to them and that owned businesses here. Sit down with me, have lunch with me, let me pick your brain. Because I knew I was also listening to a ton of Tony Robbins, and he was saying sit with the 5 people that you want to emulate and they will get you where you want to go. So I had that in my head, let me just be around successful people and I'll figure it out. So went into partnership with this gentleman and it didn't work out. For no other reason that we just had a very different vision. I wanted to scale. He liked having the one location. We were super successful from day one. We opened doors and we had 80 people per class, and it was amazing. Second location, he didn't want to be a part of, so I took on a different partner. So that was weird.
Yeah.
So now I have one location, another location, different partners. Wanted to open up another location, and when I was going to open up the third location, my partner at the time, I went with partner B. We opened up a third location, so now we have two, and I still have this one. It was like awkward because decisions making here weren't decisions making here. That added a level of stress, and I decided to see if I could somehow buy him out. He was like, absolutely not, absolutely not. Again, I like to say I manifest this. It's in the stars, but if you talk to a business person, they say I'm crazy for saying that, but I just kept praying about it and praying about it and praying about it, and something crazy happened. He was stealing from Yoga Joint, and I didn't know until a little voice was like, maybe check some things, like look at things, because I wanted him out. And I went to the bank and I started digging, and it was like stupid stuff, like taking cash out of the drawer, but you can't do that. I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now we don't even take cash, but back then we did. So it was all these little things, and there was a huge discrepancy. So I basically said, I'm either going to the police or you're out. So now I have a partner, and we have all three locations. My partner was amazing. My second partner, he's local here. He's a uber huge successful entrepreneur. You know him. And he was amazing. And he taught me a lot. He let me sit at the table, and he let me sit at the table with the big boys, and I loved it. It was like my favorite thing to do was sit with these men and them talk about business. I just ate everything up. I sat there, I absorbed it, I wrote it down. I would ask a million questions that I'm sure were absolutely ridiculous at the time, but I needed to know. I didn't know what KPIs were. I didn't know what ROI was. I was trying to teach myself, but I didn't know it. So I got to sit at the table with some amazing people, and then I really started to learn. And they were so gracious. And again, like, not to take up too much time, but I can tell you offline, because you know all these really nice, and they're just great men and great family men, and I was really lucky for that. That partner at the time just said, listen, I need to get this off my books, basically. Like, this is kind of a passion project for you. I'm like, this is not a passion project. We are going to sell this business for multi-millions. Like, you have to do this with me. And he was like, that's never going to happen. So now I had like 3 different people tell me, that's never going to happen. You're never going to happen. And I was like, it's already happening. Like, I already feel it. I understand this. I know people need this in their life. I want to help people. I know we can make this happen. So then my business partners now, they walked into my studio. At the time, I had another partner. So this is my third partner. And it was going to hell in a handbag. I mean, this was the worst of the worst of the worst. Like, you think of the worst person you know, this is who I was partners with.
And what was the crux of that?
They had heard that the really sweet, wealthier guy was needing to get Yoga Joint off his books. And how they heard that is probably because they all run in the same circles. Right. They're probably all somewhere we go and having scotch and talking about it. And the wife came to me and said, you know who my husband is. I would love to be partners with you. And immediately I felt it in my belly. Like, don't do it, don't do it. And this little voice was like, are you joking? Like, you have to do it. You're going to lose everything. Like, you need capital. Right. You need to raise money. They're offering to put money on the table. It was like the sweetest deal. Well, it wasn't. Maybe things are too good to be true. So long story long, it was an absolute disaster. I almost lost everything. It was basically a ploy to get me out because she wanted a hobby, because she didn't need to work, and she loved yoga, and she loved me until she didn't. So that was an absolute disaster. But I was like battered and beat down, and I was just like, universe, you gotta help me out. Like, whatever your belief system. For me, it's like universe and God. And I just kept asking, like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. And then this voice was like, what do you understand? Like, business is hard. And people, this happens for people all day long. Like, people open up the loves of their lives, their businesses, and they get shut down. Like, you're not special. Like, keep doing what you're doing. I always say that I have God in my life, and God stands for the gift of discipline. And the gift of discipline is I get up at 5 a.m., I read, I work out, I don't drink. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm very disciplined. And so I think to myself, I have God on my side. I'm going to get through this. Like, I'm going to do this. And I just kept putting it out there. My business partners walked in one day and was like, hey, I hear that Yoga Joint's having some problems. I'd love to be in business with you. And I basically was like, to them, like just get out of here. I don't want to talk about business, and I don't need another man in my life to like mansplain what they think this business can be. But my numbers, and at that point we were making like 90,000 a month, 100,000 a month. I mean, we've way have exceeded this, but at that point it was like it was crazy for a small little boutique fitness place to be making $90,000 a month, and that was with nothing. Like, I hadn't even gotten to put what I really knew I could put into it. You know, we were making 500,000. Now we're way ahead of that. But I was like, I just need time. I don't need to be in fight or flight all the time, which I was trying to build and build and build. So these guys came in, my business partners now, they're just like my favorite people on the planet. We're so lucky. We have such a good thing going. They've been with me now for 8 years, and we had 3 locations. We've taken it to 12, and we have an interesting business model. So before COVID, we were going to just franchise. We have a lot of people interested in franchising. We wanted to franchise. My business partner has a franchise background. He's super successful. He knows the business. Then we obviously, no one was giving loans to anybody. That kind of fell through. So we started doing a JV. We call it like our own, it's like bootstraps. We went to our community and we just said, listen, COVID hit us hard. We want to keep expanding, and we want you guys to be a part of it. Does anybody want to invest in Yoga Joint? So now we have a program where you can invest. We're always going to be 51, the corporate side, and the 49% is people that will invest. We have a chunk of like 10 to 11 people per location, and we raise at $100,000 each, and then you get certain things back. And Yoga Joint makes money really quickly, no matter where we've opened. It's like
that's nice. It's not like a big ramp up period.
Exactly. So our ramp up period, we have a great pre-sale. So we sell 300 to 500 memberships even before we even open. We've proven. We're in Coral Gables, we're in Palm Beach Gardens. No one even knew us there, and it continues to prove success. I mean, we have amazing people on our team. We have now that after 8 locations, we brought in people from Equinox. We brought in a lot of people from Orange Theory. We brought in people from Lifetime Fitness. So we do have some, in my industry, we do have some of the big boys, if you will. And that's been amazing. It's been super helpful for us. And I get to sit at the table once again with some really amazing, smart people that have taught me so much, and I'm just absorbing it all. I have the vision. I do, as the founder, I still work every day, and not just teach. I do teach because I love that. It's like my baby.
And it helps you, I think, would stay in touch with like what your core offering is, right? And the people. And
But my side of the business is I do all the training for all the talent. I have a team of people that work with me. I feel really blessed because I work with all women, even though my board is all men. So I love that because I get to be with women, which are my favorite. And then being with these men are great because they bring a lot to the table and things that I wouldn't necessarily have known. Sometimes I'm like, I would love to have another woman at the boardroom, but it's been amazing. And so now we're here. We just right after COVID, about a year and a half after COVID, we stabilized, and then about a year ago, we got a really great loan from Amrit Bank in Miami, and we got $15 million put in. And then we just raised 13 million. So we're just like foot on gas. Yeah.
That's incredible. So talk to me a little bit about franchising and why you chose to go that route. It sounds like it's not exclusively franchising though. Like you're
so we're gonna try to do both. Well, we are doing both. So right now we opened up our first franchise and it's going amazing. However, the gentleman is in franchise. He does Prime IVs, he does some other things. So you might know him, Justin Raby.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's like a big golfer. His kids are lacrosse. That's why I thought maybe. So he's been amazing. And we have cherry picked the franchisees right now. We are just closing the deal. We just closed the deal for Texas. So we're going into Houston, Dallas, and Austin.
Amazing.
And we are about to sign on the dotted line for New York and New Jersey and Connecticut. It's funny, I was supposed to hear from the guy today and I didn't, so he's very busy. And he's just sold, he was one of the guys with my other business partner that sold berries. So these guys just have a lot of money on their hands and they want to get into another concept and they love Yoga Joint. This is what is so cool for me as the founder, is that people love it and they want to give me money to scale it because they believe in my vision so much. And that means everything. Yeah. Because something that was a passion for me, and I knew if it changed my life, it would help change their life. And these are people that I never would have thought. Like, it's not like yoga has this stigma, like this hippy dippy, and it's not like that. Like, we live in a really fast paced world where we're all going 1,000,000 miles an hour and we're getting texts and we're getting emails and how people don't do yoga is crazy. But I've also disrupted our industry a bit because a lot of people told me I would never be able to expand because people wanted me. They were like, your classes are the busiest. People want you. People want you. So what I did was I created my training and all my teachers follow everything is from me. So a lot of people don't know this, and now a lot of people are going to know this, but it's fine. I do all the creative content, I create all the classes, and I create all the music. So even though you're taking Joe's class and you think that Joe created all that, it is still me creating it. So I am still like kind of holding the strings.
Program director,
exactly,
if you will, right?
Exactly. So that's what's really cool is that when people were like, how are you going to expand? People want you. And that they gave me the idea. Them kind of talking, you know what, and being negative fueled me because like I said, I don't like it when people tell me I can't do something. Right. So it got me thinking like, you know what? They're wrong. I can get people to buy in to what I do and what I love and my vision. And it's been really cool to see. And then the teacher gets to have their own personality come out and their own niche. And then all our teachers are so cool, but they're all teaching the same, which is coming from corporate, which is me and my team. So it's been
your
really
methodology.
Cool. Yes.
No, that's super interesting. And one observation I've made just in general about people who have made a vocation out of their hobby is that oftentimes it's really hard to monetize that.
Yes.
All right. And I've studied a lot of different, my family was into racing, and there's a lot of people out there that love that or love golf, or there's a lot of people in the golf industry that make no money and they're there all the time.
Right.
So to be able to turn a hobby into a truly viable and thriving enterprise really is something, I think.
I think so too. And I think that's why I get up and I'm so excited every day to go to work, is because it really is my passion. And I don't necessarily believe that you have to work your passion. I remember Mark Cuban, I listened to him and he was saying something, this was years ago, like 10 years ago on his podcast. And he was saying something along the lines of that you don't have to you don't have to have a passion that you're turning into a business. Work really hard and go do your passions.
Right.
But if you're lucky enough and you do have a passion that you can scale, then great for you. And I was thinking that is such good advice, because it's either one or the other. Yeah. You are either working, making money for your passions in life, or me, who it is my passion.
that's one of the reasons another reason I love doing this is you learn so much from other people, and that what you're saying really reminds me. I read Andre Agassi's book.
Yes.
And when I was, we're the same age. I'm a little older than you, but
You are?
I'm a year older than you.
Oh.
I read his book, and Andre Agassi was such a big deal when he came out. I think he was 17 or 18 when he was, back then it was called the Lipton, the tennis tournament down here. And he came out and he had, the Nike shoes with the lava on it, and like the pants with the spandex underneath, the little jean short. I had all that, had all of it. Thought I was gonna be the next Agassi, and he had the long hair, and he was doing the Canon commercials and everything. But he was such a phenomenon, and he flamed out quickly and was kind of out of the spotlight for a few years, and then he came back and had this really quite wonderful career. Not, Sampras level, but he won multiple major championships and married Steffi Graf. But reading his book was so profound to me, because ultimately what happened was, like a lot of tennis players, he was so burnt out. He'd been playing since he was, 4 years old. His dad drove him into the ground. He hated it. Sent him to Bollettieri when he was 13 years old. Missed, he was homesick and this thing. And he goes out there and he's playing tennis, and he was an underachiever in large part because he tried to do too much on the court rather than playing with his brain. But what ended up happening to him, he lived in Las Vegas, and his trainer's son broke his neck in an accident and was severely hurt. And so Agassi had the means, because he was successful enough to actually have a lot of money, to help pay for his recovery and rehab. And the son actually was able to rehab and live a pretty normal life. Wow. And he realized that ignited a passion in him to help kids. So he opened this giant school for underprivileged kids in Las Vegas, went back on the tour, became wildly successful, won Wimbledon. And he realized for him, now you love your hobby and your passion. He didn't, but that's how he found it. Cool. And it was such a neat story. And he had the biggest crush on Steffi Graf for years. And he would call her and talk, but he was respectful because she had a boyfriend. But then when they broke up, and she was just like, I gotta go with this guy.
Read it.
It was such an amazing story. It's called Open.
Okay.
And I love that about him. And I think that there's value too in you're working hard enough, and you're pushing and you're driving, you're learning, like, there is value in fun and gratification and just being really good at something.
Yeah. Even
if it isn't necessarily your hobby. So if people aren't lucky enough to be in yoga or golf or racing or music or whatever, like I think if you work hard at something and you become truly good at it, and you're adding value to the world around you and people around you, like, there's gratification in that. It's not I have to go to work again. And I enjoy what I do. It's extremely stressful, but helping people sell their enterprises that they've built, most of them only get to do it once, right? So that's your baby in a financial sense. And so it's super gratifying. But yeah, it doesn't mean that I love every single thing about every single day.
Same. I was going to say, it's interesting. It's an interesting topic because we talk about this a lot, because I think that because on social media, you put up your highlight reels, right. And people see glimpses of my life. The podcast has really helped because Channing and I share so much about our struggles with the business, our struggles with our kids, our struggles in our marriage. So people do see more of a human side of me versus just on your screen, and you think, oh, wow, she's so lucky. It's so easy for her. There has been, I talk a lot about in my podcast, and I go in detail about the struggles. However, yoga, the actual nucleus of yoga, not the business of yoga, not the business of, I created a class that we do, it's called Fit 45. Yeah. It didn't exist anywhere. I created it. Now every studio in South Florida on does it. And that is really because of me. And that makes me feel so good because we needed it so bad. We needed like some sort of yoga-ish, but spiritual, but weights and bands. And so I'm very proud of that class, and people love that class. And actually right now, people kind of like fit more than yoga. And that is that I'm struggling with that because I'm such a yogi at heart. But the yoga has saved me over and over and over. The days where I'm so stressed because of the business of yoga, the actual practice has saved me. And anything that I've ever gone through with my family, with health issues, with marriage, with business, I just go to the studio, ironically, get on my mat, and it fixes everything. And that, for that alone, I would never take back anything, because yoga gives you so much. And that's why I want to share it with people, especially now, with as stressed out as everybody is. And it is become a lot. I remember when the kids were little and I'd be at school and the moms would be like, there's the yoga girl, like there's the yoga lady. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm not like shoving insets up my ass, people. Like, you know, like I'm just a normal person like you. But it did have like a stigma, like,
yeah,
you know, and it
was not nearly as popular
yeah.
in the 90s when you started as it is now.
No. Yeah. I mean, everybody, we have athletes, we have 75-year-olds, we have 12-year-olds. I mean, it is the gamut. Like, it used to be mainly women, and now it's definitely an equal. It's crazy. We really have equal men to women now,
really?
Which is the first time ever. We broke that about 18 months ago. It was always women, and then it started to creep up. And that's been lovely. I knew that was coming eventually, because men just need it so much for the stress relief, and they don't necessarily have an outlet. They're golfing, they're doing tennis, pickleball, all these things, surfing, but gym, but they're not going to yoga as much. So now the fit really helped the men get into yoga, because I'll say
really? That was kind of like the gateway drug.
It is big time. Fit is a gateway drug for people to do yoga.
That's so interesting. Like, I want to drill into that a little bit more about yoga and disconnecting and stuff. Like, if you had to really boil it down to the elements of what it is, can you really pin down like why you feel like it's such a rejuvenating thing for your mental health? Obviously the physical part is probably easier to explain, right? Like, first of all, there's no phones, you know, the music is much more sort of therapeutic, and you know, can you boil it down? Do you have a theory on that?
I think so. And this is just my theory. So, I mean, it's not my theory, it's people who practice yoga. So when you practice yoga, you're doing a breath technique called Ujjayi, and Ujjayi breathing stimulates your vagus nerve, and it stimulates your prefrontal cortex of your brain. So the prefrontal cortex is essentially like your CEO. So you want a really strong CEO running your company, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if your prefrontal cortex, which in yoga we call it the third eye, but it is a medical scientific fact that we have this space right here in our body called our prefrontal cortex. We know that children do not start to form their prefrontal cortex until they're 8, and they don't finish forming their prefrontal cortex until they're 25. That's why you can't rent a car.
Right.
That's why you can't get a hotel room. That's why kids make so many bad mistakes, teenagers especially, because hormones, and they don't have a proper prefrontal cortex. So this can all be proven through MRIs and PET scans and CAT scans and things like this. So the breathing and then the spinal movements, it's called subluxation on the spine, helps to take us out of fight or flight into the parasympathetic nervous system. So you're working on your parasympathetic nervous system, and you're working on, literally in the hour that you're in that room, you are expanding your prefrontal cortex, and you are expanding your body's capacity to have dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, norepinephrine, melatonin, all these great dose of hormones. So when people leave, they think, oh, I feel high. It's like you literally are naturally high, because you've lowered all the hormones, the cortisol levels, the hormones that make you feel crazy, and you've pumped in a cocktail, a literal cocktail of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, all those things. You're working on movement, so mobility, creating flexibility. So you feel lighter, because look, we're sitting here. You know what's happening right now? Our organs are compressing. Our cervical spine is compressing. Our thoracic spine is compressing. Our lumbar spine is compressing. Our joints.
Damn it, Dan. You should be in the yoga studio right now doing this.
We don't realize. And now we're doing this. So from an evolutionary anatomy standpoint, we have this anterior head carriage. You know, you've seen like older people, you're seeing now 16,
Oh, yeah.
17, 18,
Without
because
question.
it's so unnatural. And we have this anterior head carriage, forward head posture. And in yoga, every day that you're going in there, you're opening up, this is called extension, flexion in your spine. So we create extension. So we're opening up. Your heart literally, your rib cage expands. What's protecting your heart? Your rib cage. It opens. It's not just a foo-foo thing that people think that they're going to sit there and meditate and om. That I love that personally. I go every year. I travel. I do these crazy retreats. I want to do all that, but I don't expect mainstream people that are coming into my studios to do that. We don't om. We don't. A lot of my teachers talk in Sanskrit because I learned to teach in Sanskrit. So when I train my teachers to teach, you can talk, but most of it's all in English. We don't make you chant. You're coming in and you're getting all these scientific medical things happening to your body, and you feel amazing when you leave. And you're in an infrared heated room, which that's like a whole nother podcast. That alone, just Google it, guys. Like what infrared does for your body alone. The infrared's been around for so long, and now that's kind of a buzzword. And we've been in an infrared room, I mean, for your skin, for your collagen, for detox, for everything. So that is my personal belief, and a lot of yogis believe, that the reason why you feel so good is because of the breathing and the subluxation of your spine and getting out of fight or flight.
You know, that ties into a lot of the research I've been doing recently about mental health, and especially our children and young adults. And the statistics are really shocking and saddening. And the overall theme that I'm seeing is that we are more connected, but we're more lonely.
Absolutely.
Isn't that like it's such an amazing paradigm? And sad. We're more connected, but we're more lonely. And there's study after study after study that shows kids have less friends, they spend less time together, but they're more connected, not having meaningful conversations like this, right? And so I wonder if this kind of is part of a lifestyle that could tie into that.
I was just reading on X, and they were saying how kids now aren't even reading, and I'm such a big reader. So I read, of course, the business books. I read the self-help, but I read just like, it might as well be like the Hallmark of books. I just want like a no-brainer, like the Hallmark Channel. My friends make fun of me. Chan makes fun of me. I'll just read an easy, it's like 400 pages, but it's just so easy, and it just gets you into that space. And they were saying, this article on X was saying, I'd never thought this is crazy. I was like, I told my kids, go get a book right now. I mean, my kids are 18 and 21, like they're not kids, but it was saying how kids don't read anymore because they're always on their phones. And because of that, they're lacking empathy, because when you read, you put yourself into other people's experiences, and you think about what they look like, and you use your imagination, and you think about how they feel, if they're sad, if they're happy, and it creates feelings inside of you. And they were saying that they've done this like 10-year study that is showing that kids lack empathy because they don't read anymore, and they're just always on their phone. And I was like, wow, I never even.
I think we're so hardwired. Like my son, for instance, he's pretty good at expressing his thoughts, and he's Taylor's age, right?
Yes.
So he's your
They're
younger
2 days
age.
apart.
Right. And so he's like, basically everything that he would learn in a book, he learns on TikTok or on YouTube, but faster. Right. So them, it's like, why read a book that takes so many hours when I can just pop on TikTok and watch a few videos?
Or they go on ChatGPT.
In their mind,
And they just say, what is this book about?
Whereas, and I'm very cognizant of my own mental health from minute to minute, right? And I find I can just feel it. I'm scrolling through my phone because it's a habit.
Yep.
And it's so unsatisfying, but there's always something there that is of mild interest that catches your attention. And then, there's 2 more things, and then there's something. And like the times where I'm disciplined enough to put it down and go grab a physical book, I can feel immediate effects in my brain. I'm like, this is so much more comforting and fulfilling and calming. Why don't I do this and never, ever do that?
Habit.
Ever. And there's no good excuse or reason other than science that is working against me, you know. But
Absolutely.
I wish that our kids would read more. And I think, again, I think it's just we're so hardwired that it takes so much time that they want to move quicker and want to move quicker, and we've got memory. So anyway, we could go on for that for days. I want to keep the discussion going and talking about you and the yoga joint. But one of the themes we like to talk about on the show is mentoring and leadership. Was there anybody in your past or present that you would consider to be a mentor to you, and subsequently, is that something that you're taking on in your life now, mentoring others? Because I know we're at the age where it's like there's people that are working in the world that are younger than us by kind of a lot. You know?
It's so weird. I was on a panel last year and I was considered the mature entrepreneur. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this, because I feel like I guess I don't feel like I'm in my 20s, but I definitely don't feel like I'm in my now later 40s. So it was funny. I sat and it was all girls. I mean, they were young and they're up to big things, and it was so cool. I was like, were we this cool when we were that age? I just don't remember that. I definitely was not. And I was the mature entrepreneur on the panel, and I thought that was just so interesting. And they were asking me, like, how did you juggle having kids and building a business and stuff geared towards younger women? And it was really cool. So what was the question?
Mentoring.
Yes. So my mentor for a long time was Tim Petrillo.
Oh, wow.
You know Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tim was so gracious for so long. And obviously we knew Tim. And I said, Chan, just ask him. He seems like a really nice guy. I know he is so busy. But just ask, like, maybe he would like sit and talk to me, maybe coffee, and Chan asked him, and he said yes.
Why did you choose him?
So I always was so impressed by his work ethic, because he was always at the restaurants when I would go. And I thought, he doesn't need to be here. And that's kind of how I am. I don't need to be at the studios, but I'm there. I don't need to teach anymore, but I love it. And I thought, and then I knew everything that he was doing. I mean, he was expanding like crazy at the time, and I know he still is, but this is going back now, like 10 years. And then we, like, quarterly, we would meet for years. And he was just so gracious. So we would sit, he had a system where he would say, okay, meet me at this restaurant, because then he would do like a secret boss, but they knew who he was. Right. But they wouldn't tell him we were coming in. They wouldn't tell him I was there. And we go and we sit, and he just wanted to see what it was like. Like, he wanted to see how people responded. Some people don't know who he is. It's the same with me. If I walk into one of my locations that's not right here, they don't know who I am. It's hilarious. I'm like, hi, Paige Held. And they're like, oh my God, hi, I know who you are.
Disguise with glasses and mustache.
I've said that. I'm like, I should like wear a disguise. It is really funny. So he would just, he had recommended like to do like the groups like EO and things like that. And I just didn't want to do that. And maybe that's my own thing. Like, maybe my business partner still tries me to get to do these things. Do you do that?
I have over the years, and I would say my disposition towards them is probably similar to what you're saying now.
Okay.
If I were to do one, I would want to be a part of a group with people that were just better and more successful than me.
Same.
Whereas like
then the whole bringing up together.
Yeah.
And I guess my business partner was like, you just get to kind of mull ideas over, and for that I kind of liked, but unfortunately you can go on and Google your problem and AI your problem now. And so, but he was so gracious for years, and he was my mentor, and he taught me so much. And one of the biggest things, I mean, he gave me so much, but one of the biggest things that he gave me was he really allowed me to stand in my power, because as a woman, it was hard for me to feel like I had a voice at the table with some of these. Even though I loved being with them, I felt an intimidation factor. And he was the one I mentioned earlier that I would ask a lot of questions. In the beginning, I didn't, because I didn't want to seem like I didn't know. And he was like, listen, they don't care. They want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about business. They want to teach you. They want you to ask them questions. And he was right. And I asked questions, and looking back now, we'll laugh at it. Like, some of my board members will be like, you were asking questions and I was thinking, is this okay? Like, is she going to run this company? Like, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And then but it got me to where I was just like, he gave me kind of permission to just be like, no questions off the table. Like, like I said, I didn't go to college. I don't have a master's degree from Wharton School of Business. I have a degree from life, and I need to know. So he was like, sometimes I don't know. So you ask, and you bring people in, and you ask what they would do, and be curious and ask questions. And that was pivotal for me, to be curious, because for so long it was like I was like, because I'm the founder and the face, it was like, well, what do you want? What do you want? And it was like, well, what would you do in my position?
Yeah, right.
And then I really started, and that's when I really started to ramp up and grow, because I started to ask the right questions.
Well, I wrote one word on my sheet here of my outline, which I try not to look at too much, but it's team. And you built a team. And I think that shows a maturity where the inclination might be at times for some, maybe you, maybe not, is to like, I want to covet and hold on to everything and hang on to control, rather than, hey, I need to learn to bring in people that are better at things.
Better than me.
Because you can't be great at everything.
No.
Right? Like, you have your vision and you clearly have your strengths and you know how to sell that vision. But like, there's people out there that are going to be better than you at finance and marketing and, you know, branding and operations and, you know, technology and all those things. And it's like, but I hear you talking about the people that you sit with and you learn from, and I think team. That's the word I think of.
And Tim was really a pivotal point in my life with that. He gave me this sort of permission, if you will, to say, it's okay. It's okay. You're not going to be looked at in a negative way. They're going to respect you more because you want to bring these people to the table. They're going to respect you more because you don't know these things. And I was like, really? Okay. And it started to shift like that. And there was a couple of things financially that he gave me advice that really worked well. He does some unique things with his business, how he raises capital. And I took some of those methods and some of that methodology with the JV program that I have. And he was amazing. Yeah, it's been years now. It's been not years, like 2 years, because I was like, okay, I'm good. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, I'm sure you guys could sit down once a year and, you know, catch up and probably, you know, get some
and my business partners, well, my one business partner is like me. He's like boots on the ground, like day to day to day to day. He is now our CEO, which I'm so proud of him. He's just an amazing guy. He's younger. He's in his late 30s. But my other business partner, who's my age, and the business partner that I can't talk about yet because there's going to be a press release.
New stuff. We were going to break it right here on the air, Dan.
Yes, I wish. I'm so excited to talk about it. I'll be breaking it hopefully on my podcast, but they are my age and a little older, and they've been a huge mentor for me, and especially my new partner. I have been able to have meetings with him and ask him a million questions. And then what has been so amazing is that he has set me up with the people in the other businesses that he's bought and built and sold. And they're like, wait a minute, wait, you already do this? You have 12 stores and you already do this, this, and this. Like, you're ahead of the game. And it's giving me so much confidence. I'm kind of like walking in with a little pep in my step. And then one of the gentlemen that runs a huge, everybody knows it, they're all around the world. And he called me and he's like, hey, I run the training of this company, and it's Orange Theory. Like, I'll just tell you, it's not a big deal. And he's like, so-and-so was telling me that you do this way. Can you talk about that? Because that's genius. And I was like running to my husband.
Teaching you something?
Yeah, I was like, they want to know what I'm doing. Like, but he was like, it's because you're a yogi and a fitness person and you create these classes. Like, he's like, I'm a business guy, so I'm scaling these trainings, but I don't have that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, listen, with all due respect, I would never tell you what I do. I said, because you're you. If you were like this person here that had one location and was starting, and I would tell you what I do because I knew
Nebraska
it would
somewhere. Yeah, right.
I go, but with all due respect, you couldn't pay me enough money to tell you what I do. And he was like, are you serious? He's like, well, I kind of know you do it like this and you have a class of the day. I'm like, kind of, but no, I'm not.
It's kind of cold. You're still cold.
So that was funny. He was like, okay, I guess I have to respect that. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, but you know that you came to us and were asking questions. I'm like, yeah, but now that you told me that I was genius. So that was really funny. Yeah.
You talked about this at the beginning and touched on it. We didn't really get into it until, you know, your story later, but you were a single mother. You were on food stamps for welfare.
Yep.
And how does that affect your leadership now and how you run this business and you see the world like through those, like that perspective?
Watching my little kids, having them and watching them grow, I should say, as they were little, pushed me into doing what I'm doing today. As soon as Michael was born, so I grew up in a very wealthy family, and one day it was gone, just like that. Bad decisions, bad business decisions. When I talk about this on my podcast, like my poor dad, it just rips his heart out because he's such a sweetheart. And there are so many things that got them to where they were. Their business ended up going bankrupt. And that was, honestly, it's so crazy to say this, but that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because growing up with everything I grew up and then had, and then it being taken away when I was like 20, 21, it catapulted me, because I think that if I was given everything, I don't know if, and that's a little bit of a catch-22, because some people are given everything and they make more, and some people have things taken away and it fuels them. So for me, it fueled me to be who I am today. Right as soon as Michael was born, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I grew up on Las Olas and now I live in like basically like Section 8 housing on food stamps. Like, what actually happened to me? What happened to my life? And it all happened very quickly. And I just said, I have to do something. I have to push myself to be better. I have to get uncomfortable. I have to push myself. Right. And then Taylor came along and I was like, okay, we are doing this. Like, we are opening a business. I don't care where I get it. And then, like I said, the partners and everything. So it pushed me to want to be better and want to open up multiple locations, being a single mom. It's funny, those days seem like a different lifetime ago because of my life now.
Yeah, sure.
But it definitely was, having those kids was a catapult to where I am.
Did you see yourself and envision yourself as an entrepreneur then? Or did you say, I'm going to open a yoga studio or two? And
well,
just to like, you know, try to make a living? Like,
yeah, well, a little bit of both. So I had the one side, like the angel and the devil. So the angel was like, you're going to do this. You're going to open up a ton of locations. You're going to be uber successful. And then you're just going to figure it out. And then the devil was like, no, girl, like, you just need to get money in your bank account.
Like,
yeah, exactly. Big imposter syndrome. Like, who do you think you are? The yoga side of me, the yogis are manifestors. We do vision boards. We do mood boards. We read books on how to manifest things like health and cure diseases through your thoughts and meditation, and
happen.
Joe Dispenza and Make Your Reality Happen, and Tony Robbins. So I was so influenced by my nucleus of that was, thank God, because I'm a big believer of things and I manifest things like crazy. I always say, like, I'm a money magnet, I'm a health magnet, I do these things, I make my kids do them. So thank God I had the yoga. I always go back to that. The yoga helped me be who I am today. Like, that just 1 hour every day of moving your spine and rolling around your joints and breathing helped me so much. So I did know I would be where I am today. I had no idea how I would get there, but that's the thing about manifestation, is that you don't have to understand how the universe or your God or whatever you believe in is going to bring it into your life. You just have to continue to say it and speak it as it is done. And I've always done that. I mean, I've been on covers of international magazines that I have no business being on because I manifested it. I manifested the boat that we have. I manifested the house that we have. I think it. I put it out there. I put it on a vision board. I manifested these studios, like people giving me money. Like, I know it seems crazy, but it works.
I mean, it's certainly unique, right? The affirmation part is maybe not at the core of what you're saying. Is like you're just telling yourself, like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make it happen. And you say it enough and you believe it. So
Exactly.
I guess if you boil it down to that sort of simplicity, then it makes a lot of sense.
Because what's the other option? What is the other option?
Right.
The other option is that you sit and you focus on the negative. You focus on how you feel terrible, how you have no money. How is that what we want?
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I think that there's that common thread of risk taking, right?
Yeah.
Amongst all the successful people. It doesn't mean you're going to win them all, but you have to take the risk.
Yes.
You have to take the risk. And if somebody put it all on your lap and gave it to you, then you really not accomplished anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And going back to the single mom thing, I think what gave me the ability, I'm so glad you said risk, because what gave me the ability to take the risk is that I saw my family have everything and I saw my family lost everything, and we were the exact same people. And I thought, you don't need to have all that, but it's great to have all that, but you don't need to have all that. So you choose, Paige. Like,
yeah.
you're a happy person overall, but life is going to be a lot easier with that. I mean, more money, more problems, like bring on the problems, I always say.
Right.
However, I saw the both, and I was like, let's just take a risk, because I know what it's like to live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my brothers and my dad, and we figured it out. So
Yeah.
I can just take risks because I know I can live with nothing, but I want way more.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was a weird, helpful scenario.
No, I love that. Would love to dig into your leadership style. We talked a little bit when we were offline about your leadership style and how that's evolving. How would you describe your style, and how have you evolved as a leader?
Okay. So we just recently hired an organizational health coach. It has been the most transformational experience that I've had in a long time, because right now we're just one foot in front of the other, building the business, building teams, building manuals, building trainings, processes, procedures, everything online. We're scaling outside of our nucleus, which is new. And I didn't realize that there was a toxic culture going around, because if you would have asked me this question a year ago, I would have said, oh, I'm a great leader, and everybody loves working for me, and everybody loves Yoga Join, and I'm so nice. And little did I know that I was the ringleader of a lot of toxicity that I didn't even know. So she has brought to my attention all these things about my leadership style. So have you done the DISC style? And like, we've done like PIs and all that, but okay, so I'm an I, and I'm a high I, which means I am very social. I love people. I want to work in teams. I'm very open. I bring everybody into things, not realizing that somebody that's not necessarily that DISC style could interpret what I'm doing as negative. And I think I'm doing something positive. I'll give you an example. So we've brought in some big people from big organizations into Yoga Joint for this next expansion. So we brought in one of the top Equinox people. We brought in one of the top Orange Theory people. We brought in one of the top Berries people. So now we have this team of people that are the top of the top in my industry, fitness and wellness. And they're sitting at the table. And they say things that are gonna piss me off, because I'm the founder and I'm the creator, and it is hard to release my baby. And some things that I've created worked then, might not be working now. And my ego gets involved, and I feel it here, and then it comes here, and then I just say it, not realizing that how I say things is really important. I'm just so used to being me and people liking me, but now that we're just bigger, it's not like I have to be on my best behavior, but I do. I have to pause. I have to be curious. I have to think like I do in my friendships, like I do in my marriage, but I wasn't holding myself to those same standards with these people, because I was like, who are these people coming into my business? So I would go to my team, which is like 6 women that I've been with. They're the training team. They've been with me since Yoga Joy opened. We have all grown up together. Our children have grown up together. We're like family. And I would go and just complain and complain and complain about these people. So what that was doing, it was creating such a weird vibe between them. And then I started to put people in silos, because I almost didn't want them working together, because unconsciously I was thinking, well, if they like each other, then what is that going to do to me? And am I going to get pushed out? I didn't even realize this was going on until this lady was like therapy for me. It wasn't just organizational health coach. Like she is a therapist. I work with her twice a week. And we have like 7-hour meetings with different people in the organization. And I've had to really do some self-reflecting, and it has been brutal. I've gone to the people that I've realized now that I was not appropriate. My behavior wasn't appropriate. It wasn't appropriate to basically talk, you know what, about other people in your organization. Like, am I 15? I didn't realize that I was doing that. I just thought I was venting, but you can't vent to the people that work for you. And even though, yes, they've been with me for so long, it just creates fractures in your infrastructure. And Paige Held, who was the founder of Yoga Joint, I'm doing this. And then they go and then they tell one of the managers. And then the managers is like, oh, Paige doesn't like the VP of Ops? Wow, what's going on? And then that creates a divide. And then it has been one of the greatest lessons. And I love to know what's not working, because I just want to not spend a lot of time on the past. Just let's move through. I'm a very fast processor, which doesn't work for everybody, especially my husband, because I go like this and I just want to get it done. Like if we're in an argument, he like wants to talk and I'm like, okay, we're good. Like we're good. You good? You good? I'm good. Let's go. And I don't even take caffeine and I don't take Adderall. Like imagine, like my brain is just like, So I would walk in and drop a bomb on my team and be like, our operation woman, she did this, and the director and my HR and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can imagine what's coming out of my mouth as a yogi. Like I'm not in my body. I'm not connected to what I'm saying. I'm pissed off. And they're all just like looking at me. And then I'm over it. And now because of their style, they're stewing on it. And then they're like, is Paige really like a yogi? Like, is she really who she says she is? She wants to expand, but now she's talking, you know what, mad, you know what, about like, so it was really interesting. It was eye-opening. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm gossiping about these people. And I like these people. Like these people are helping me expand my business. So needless to say, it was very humbling. I went to all of them in a public forum. We were all at the table. There was like 12 of us, corporate team. And I just said, I am so sorry. Like, I am so sorry that I was a part of this toxic culture. If I could elevate out of myself and watch myself, I wouldn't even recognize myself. But this is all happening quickly. And I have a lot of people's money and I have a lot of pressure. And I'm ready. I love pressure. Like no pressure, no diamond. I thrive on pressure and I thrive on making quick decisions. And I'm not afraid to change. I actually love change. And that's one of my core values at Yoga Joint is change. And I thrive on this type of chaos because I grew up in a huge family. I had a ton of cousins and there was just always chaos going on in my family. And then having a ton of money and not having money, like it's chaos and I thrive off that. That's why I love yoga so much, because it calms me and grounds me and I need that. But I thought I was a great leader, and I will still say I'm very proud of where I was, and I'm obviously good at stuff because look where we are. Like I'm a part of this growth. Right. But I'm so happy that she put me in my place, because now I'm ready. And I realized I used to get so frustrated. Why am I not more successful? That's why. I didn't have strong legs. I didn't have strong roots. I didn't have the infrastructure as a leader to grow. And now it's like the universe is like, okay, like God's like, this is what you needed. And now you're ready. Like I have the chills. Like now I know, like I'm like foot on gas, like all this is coming and it's there and we're expanding like crazy. And I'm going to sell this business. Like you mark my words right here. I'm selling this business for $400, $500, $600, $700, $900 million in the next 5 to 10 years. That is the goal.
You took away my exit plan question.
Okay.
But so that's the plan is, say 5 to 10 years if you're being just throwing a dart at a board right now. Yeah. And then what would you do?
I have some ideas. Yeah. I have some ideas.
Well,
I want to help younger mentors. I want to mentor people. I want to help younger entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got the life experience to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And
kids that didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I feel like from my heart.
I think that there's definitely a trend turning. Like we probably don't have time to delve into that too much, but college not being the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I help mentor and coach some younger kids that are like, hey, I'm going to go to trade school, and I'm like, that's great. We need those people.
I love that.
And go into debt $200,000 or go to trade school and probably make pretty good money right out of college and perform a service that people really need.
Yeah.
So
I know this is not the. I get a lot of slack for this, but I have been like brainwashing my kids not to go to college their whole life, and my daughter is getting ready to go to college, and it breaks my heart that she wants to waste her life for the next 4 years at a university. Breaks my heart to get some bullshit degree that she's never going to use.
Oh, she's
However, she's going and she's so excited. And my 21-year-old, he went for a couple years, and that was hard for me, but he dropped out, so I'm happy about that. And he works for me because that's what I wanted.
He does, okay.
Yeah, he's been with me now for a year, and I love it. And he is thriving, and he's climbing up, and I couldn't be happier for him. But I know it goes against the norm, but I'm just like, if your kid's going to be a lawyer, a doctor, finance major, but if you're going to be an entrepreneur or you're going to be some sort of influencer or YouTube, or you just don't need, just don't need to, or trade, plumber.
Certainly not the end all be all.
Electrician.
Certainly not. We talked a lot about partners today, and I did want to kind of put a bow on that and say for the viewers out there, what are the top things that you think that they should look for in a partner?
I think one of the biggest things is to trust your gut. And I know that's a tricky subject because a lot of people say, I'm not quite sure. But if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And don't be afraid of that no, because that no is protection.
Yeah.
A lot of times that rejection that you feel is just redirection in disguise. And now I know that every single time I felt like my energy rejected their energy, it was redirection. But I didn't know that because I didn't trust it when I was younger.
Yeah.
And if I could go back in time, people say, oh, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't change anything. I would change so many things, like beyond.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. What are their intentions? What are your intentions? Do you want to grow the business together? Do you want to get in and get out? Make sure you have the same values with that, because that's important. Because like we kind of chit-chatted offline, if one person wants to sit and collect checks, but you need them to not be doing that and you're doing everything, make sure everything is on the documents, and read the documents and have a lawyer look at it. Don't just think, oh, they're nice.
Yeah,
no.
right.
No. So trust your gut, write everything down, and know your lanes and your roles.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that it's such a huge topic. We see so many businesses where partnerships are just not aligned, but things, even if they are aligned right away, they change. And if you don't have them written down,
yeah, it's
then
like
what?
Marriage.
That's usually, they do. It's true.
Yeah.
Marriage isn't.
You have the best intentions in the beginning. Yeah.
Right. That's great. So switching gears as we kind of wind down, social media, you have a strong presence on social media. You have for quite some time. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that something that was always intentional on your part? What is your strategy there? Do you have help with that? Have you always done it on your own, or, just like the evolution?
So social media is so important. it is the way everybody communicates. Everybody communicates on their phone. We do have help with the Yoga Join social media. We have somebody that's her full-time job. She does she's constantly doing these cute reels, and she's studying the algorithms, and she's on it. My own personal social media is just been organic. I just put out my life. I'm very open, and people, I think, like that authenticity. Yeah. I just talk about anything and everything, and I don't have anybody that helps me with mine. I just do it all. It's just organic. Yeah. But with the Yoga Joint, it's all like very created and curated and all of that, and a lot of time is put into it. I don't put much time into mine at all. I need to, because I know it's so important. And
I think it's part of your brand, your personal social, like that's part of the Yoga Joint brand. Is Paige.
I don't think so much anymore. It's interesting how many people will comment on my stuff like, oh, I need to go to Yoga Joint. And I always think, God, I figured everybody, it's all just Yoga Joint. But it's kind of like all over the board, the people. I think when in my late 30s, early 40s, when I was doing a lot of press stuff for Yoga Joint, I got a lot of followers. But then since then, it's died down because I haven't done a lot. And I just share more diet, lifestyle, yoga stuff, lifting weights, poses, things like that. Right. I think if you show yourself and be authentic, that's the most important part. Because the Yoga Joint stuff, they go on Yoga Joint because they know it's going to be curated. They know that. But for your personal branding, I think if you can be authentic, that's what people want to see. I'd rather see people like when I was leaving, my kids were like, wow, Mom, you look so nice, because I put actual makeup on. In my podcast, I got no makeup, bun, like sweatpants, sweatshirt. I'm very like relaxed and chill. I think it's important to show that side of you, because everything is always so filtered and makeup and...
Right, so you're talking about your podcast, Watch Me Grow.
Yes.
And you host with
my husband.
Your husband,
Channing, yes. He's my...
We know well.
Yeah, he's the best human on the planet. He's my co-host and my producer and all that. He is... he's going to be starting his own podcast too, so I'm excited about that.
You guys play off each other well.
Thank you. It's so fun.
It's probably a good reason why you're married, but like you interact well, and both like some of like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like some of the nudging and the poking is kind of fun to listen to. Because I heard one of the ones that you did recently. I'm trying to remember what it was. A lot of dog barking. So
oh my God.
With the dog barking, which we have too. So I mean,
I know.
Preaching the choir.
I know. I'm like, this is so nice. Like just being here. It's so quiet. He just rented a warehouse. I think it's around here somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's going to make the podcast, his and mine, there. So that'll be much better.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't realize working from home sounds great until you do it. And I'm like, there's no one situation that my dogs can't completely fuck up.
Exactly.
It's like, we're outside, they're barking, they want you to throw the ball.
Exactly.
Somebody knocks at the door, I'm on a Zoom call with a client, and they're barking their heads off, or they want to eat, or they're in the trash.
Oh my
Just
God,
you name a situation in everyday life, or they got to vomit in the middle of the night.
I was just gonna say, or the vomit. Yeah.
Kelly's like, get him outside. I'm like, Kelly, we're upstairs. There's no way he's making it outside. If anything, he's gonna go on the stairs.
Yeah. And drag him off the carpet.
Yeah, that's the most realistic, best outcome.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, Watch Me Grow. We'll link to that.
Thank you.
In ours, and sharing a lot about your life and running a business like you're talking about today, and hearing Chan and his travels in life, delivering both of my kids. So holds very revered ground in our family.
Thank you.
So you're ready for this?
I don't know. I'm not good on the spot, so we'll see.
You're ready for this. Well, you've done good so far, but I got faith in you. You're going to be able to do this.
Okay, I have faith in myself. Let's manifest, and I'm going to be amazing at this.
Yep, there you go. Now it has to work out.
Yep.
Because we've been talking
about
manifesting. Spot. It's great. So let's talk about books. Book or books that you have found to be transformational in your life.
I really love Simon Sinek. I'm not sure if you know who that is.
No.
So he's a leader. So I'm into this leadership now. I've read all of his books. So I would highly recommend, if you are in the pursuit of knowing if you're a good leader, how to be a good leader, listen to his podcast, get his books. I'm really enjoying him right now.
Simon, last name?
Cynic.
Cynic, okay.
Yeah. Don't ask me to spell it.
Oh, I won't.
Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
It's like SINEK or something.
Looking back, and we've talked a little bit about this because you just said it, that you would change things. What the advice that you would give to yourself at 25, and even like 1B question, like somebody who's the next Paige, who's in her 20s, who's got big ambitions in life, but maybe doesn't have a lot of resources or tools to do that other than her own, obviously, her own talents, but even those, not really sure what those are. Like, what would that advice look like, and what would that be?
My biggest advice I would give somebody right now is boundaries. I had no boundaries, and if I could go back and be able to say yes when I wanted to say yes and no when I wanted to say no, I think that I would be further along. Because I passed up opportunities because I felt maybe it was like beneath me and I should have done it. And then I would say yes to people that I didn't align with because I thought it would get me somewhere further. So
be more discerning.
Discerning.
I guess, right?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yes. Because even at 25, I knew then. I knew.
Yeah. No, that's great. And that advice to yourself is the same as you would give.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you don't have to say yes to the total a-hole because they have so much money. And you don't have to say no to somebody who doesn't have a lot, but you really align with them and you like their energy. There's so many stories like that I was, oh, sure, I'll do that for you. And then I'm like, I don't even like you. I don't want to be around you. You don't need to sell your soul to the devil to get it. You're not going to get anywhere with that.
Like, money is a commodity, right? Like, you don't have to take it from anyone. Take it from the person who really believes in you and whose values align with you, right?
And as soon as I learned that lesson with that third partner, it changed my life. It really did, because I was like, I will never again take something from somebody that I don't align with just because I think it's going to get me somewhere, because it actually pushes you back.
Yeah. And you know what the amazing phenomenon is? People will sense that in you, and I think they'll want to be a part of it even more because they know that you're going to be like, no, why should I take money from you?
Exactly.
Why would you be a good partner for me?
Yep.
And
we're raising money.
That,
We're raising capital right now, and we sit with people and we say no to people. And I get scathing emails.
Oh, jeez.
And scathing.
People don't like hearing no.
Scathing, exactly. And I don't either. And it's interesting because my business partner's like, are you sure? Like, they have liquidity, they have this, they have that, they check all the boxes. And I'm like, it's a hard no because of the things that I've learned. It's just a no. And then other opportunities come up, and then they're like, wow, I'm so glad we said no to that person. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, I got it dialed in now. My heart is dialed in.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can read people well? Like you have a good...
I used to not be able to. I was a love bomber, and then if you liked me, I thought that you were amazing.
That's interesting.
And everybody liked me. So then that was very, I'm popular in the community, so you like me, but just because you like me doesn't mean you're a good person.
Yeah. No, that's super interesting. So you feel like your perception, like you've gotten stronger over the years.
Way
you're
better.
More perceptive and better read the table.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think that does come with age. I think it just does. I don't think that I could tell my 25-year-old self that, because my 25-year-old self was in survival. And I just needed everybody to like me.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, you would certainly hope that with age comes something.
Yeah.
Wisdom being at least, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, give me something out of this.
Exactly.
My favorite one is, if you had a billboard, what would it say? You could say anything you wanted. What would it say?
It would say, yoga joint where shift happens.
That's it. We'll always be closing, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. What would yours be?
My esteemed client and guest, Dr. Rick Harris, said, be here now.
I love that.
And that one hit me hard, because that's one that as a dad and as a friend sometimes I struggle with. my father is phenomenal at that. You sit with him and you've seen his blue eyes.
I love him.
There is no phone. There's no looking over your shoulder to see who is more important is in the room. There's none of those things. And he does that with his friends too. It's not just me, his wife, my siblings. But it's funny that you asked me that because I think about it a lot. But
well, I'm going to steal yours. Damn.
Be Here Now with Dr. Rick Harris is a wonderful man, a psychologist who spent his life helping other people. But I don't know. I'm pulling it together. My favorite Pink Floyd song of all time is Time. And Time is on the Dark Side of the Moon album. And it talks about
it very well.
It's just a phenomenal accumulation of lyrics about how when you're younger, time goes by so fast and you waste it so hastily, and then when it's over, they were interviewing Cheech and Chong on CBS Sunday Morning a few weeks ago, and she basically, the interviewer asked, she said, Jane Pauley, she said, if you had more of anything, you've got such success in life, and if, what would you do? What would you change? He said, I wish I just had more time.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I'm really obsessed with time now. I feel like it's gone by so quickly with my older son going off to college in a few months. And those years, that they told you not to blink, I felt like I blinked.
Same.
So I don't know how you fit that on a billboard.
Yeah, I love that.
But,
Be Here Now.
Be Here Now is
Thank you for
so
sharing
far.
that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Dan makes me ask this question, but we're at Rebel Motor Company, who graciously lets us use this amazing facility. You get to have one car, and it's designed just for you. That's a fit for your personality in your life. What is it?
A Porsche.
A Porsche, yeah.
The Macan. Right? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Macan, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. What color is it?
That's the one I want. I want white.
Yeah.
I look at it all the time. It's on my vision board. Well, that and the Range Rover, the new Range Rover.
Oh, yeah.
The autograph collection Range Rover. Those two are on my... I drive a really nice Audi, so I'm not hurting here, but I love that Porsche. But I also want it in stick shift. I don't even know if it comes in stick shift.
I was...
Because I was thinking that would help me not fumble with my phone.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Stick shift, it's funny. I could swear they didn't make any anymore. And
Yeah,
we were at the racetrack a couple weeks ago. First time I've been in a car in almost 20 years. And one of the guys that was helping us out at the track is a phenomenal driver. And he's like, hey, let me take you around the track in my Cadillac real quick just to show you the lines. And because I hadn't been there forever, I was like, oh, sure. And he had a stick shift four-door Cadillac. I'm like, I didn't have any idea. Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's got 720 horsepower. He scared the freaking daylights out of me. You're not driving the car and somebody else is going fast. It's scary, but when you do it, it's it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And my son, so they do make stick shifts. Did they make a Macan? I don't know.
Okay, but, I'm gonna have to look.
I told my wife, you can do anything with money.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking in the next couple years, I can probably get them to make me one if they don't have it.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
They have, and Porsche has a program where you can have a car made and you can go there and pick it up.
That's what I want to do.
And drive it on the Autobahn and do that whole thing.
That's what I want to do. And of course, Channing's like, just do it now. What are you waiting for? Just do it. And I'm like, well, my lease is not done for another year and a half. So
I find it's fun to maybe treat yourself, but set a little bar for okay, once we open the X store or we get to this number of gross revenue, then you know what I mean. Just give yourself a little carrot, and it's kind of something to
Well, my business partner just got the new Bentley, so I'm like, okay. He has other businesses, but he was like, Yoga Joint's doing better, doing good. He's like, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm gonna do this too. But I love that advice. My lease is done in a year and a half, and then I'm going to give myself a little treat.
Hopefully the Macan.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it.
Thank
Paige,
you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
You were phenomenal. And
thank you.
It's been fun watching your journey after all these years. And you said you founded it in 2010, and I was just like,
I know, time.
15 years. But
time.
A lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. And
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I've always been a big fan of yours.
Well, Paige, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's right. We're legit.
Yeah, we have to do that.